So, hi guys, welcome to podcast number 8 of Safe House to You. I'm with Alia Soraya from Mula Zine. She's the founder, editor in chief, and among many other things, she really did start up this magazine, this publication from start. And I got to know her from a while back, actually from Area Digital, but we'll get into that later. Do you want to introduce yourself for a bit?
Okay, hi everyone. So I think you just said a lot of things already that I should have mentioned. But yeah, I am the founder and editor-in-chief of Mula Zine. And then I also wear many, many hats. You know, I'm Sagittarius, if you're into that. And then, yeah, I do basically that. Mula is my full-time job.
So before, I mean, if there's any one of you that's new to the channel or to Safe House to You in general, we don't really want to approach this like an interview or like a Q&A session. So it's not really just me asking her this and that or like questions. We would like to engage in a discussion line conversation. So I have like a bunch of topics that I just throw out, maybe get her opinion, maybe I tell her my opinion, and then it's just a conversation between each other. Let me know if how long you're comfortable with it, if you want to stop anytime or if it's too much. But yeah, hi. Thank you
Hi.
for coming.
Thank you for having me.
As I not sure about this, but I think that I heard that you're 24 years old.
Yes.
96. Okay.
Exposed.
So we're the same age.
Oh, great! 96
Um,
babies.
That's kind of nice to know because it's hard for me to like go around and see people my age or like at least I would say still young and then having established like kind of a thing, anything, and it's nice to see that you are at your age and you started Era Digital when you were 2000 in 2017. Is that true?
Yeah, I didn't start Air Digital. I worked alongside Haida Yusof.
Okay.
So, but Air Digital is actually a very big part lah of my process, I would say. Sebab, you know, Air was the first startup zine that I had working with. And that's when I learned how to be a manager, editor. Also learned a lot from editor-in-chief, and then how to sort of build a team from there. So yeah, it was great. Then alongside, I started Mula Zine while I was in uni.
So this was 2 years ago, 2018.
This was 2 years ago. Yep, we turn 3 next month.
So that's great. That like you 2 years ago you were 22, and then you really decided to do this and yourself establish like your own. A publication. I would say. Would you agree?
I agree 100%. We are a publication, but also a collective, a team. You know, but we do function like any other publication in the world.
Yeah.
We have a hierarchy. We have a system, which is great. So I think it's all just figuring out how to sort of work around that while working remotely from home.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
So before we get into Mula Zine, I'd like to know more about Yula. I know. I mean, I'm not on Instagram so much. So and I only know things. So I get like I hear people's names, and I know Mula Zine for a long time, and I know that you were involved. But I'm not like on social media really just like looking for people, and that's not really where I get to know people.
Yeah.
But I went there through it, and then I saw your Instagram account and also your photography account. So you do Mula Zine full time, and
I
then
do.
you also take photographs.
Yes. I started off as photographer. I also studied BA fashion photography in London, which is ace. Like I learned a lot even through publication. I learned
PA
in
is
school.
what PA?
BA is bachelorette.
Oh,
Good.
BA.
BA.
Oh, okay.
BA.
Yeah,
Sorry,
Bachelor
my
of
tongue
Arts.
does that. It's like so
Okay.
it's BA.
Right.
BA honors, you know. But
Congrats.
thank you. It was tough. I had mental breakdowns, but it was nice. Yeah, I learned a lot about photography there. Not so much technical, but more towards storytelling, and that's how I really got inspired to create Mula as well, because it was more towards the approach of building my identity through photography, because I was never a good writer anyways. My English macam berterabur all the time, so it was through photos that I found my medium. And then I started creating storylines from past projections, I learned through my mom, through my grandma. So stories they told while we were having dinner, I'm just like, okay, let's do that into an editorial with people my age. I would love to see people in batik. That's how sort of I revolved it around batik, around the trend of colors, fluorescent lights, if that makes sense.
I get it. I mean, I'm gonna direct our conversation
Go.
there at some bit, but like to go back to where you actually started, you were studying in London at what school?
Dekat London College of Fashion.
And then a Bachelor of Arts in photography.
Correct, fashion photography.
So that was like your background, basically, and like coming into publication or fashion magazine.
Yes.
Is because of the photography aspect.
Correct. Also because, you know, I had my first assignment during first year, and then they gave us something about identity. So then they were like, oh, take a picture about identity, which I was worried about because I didn't find a proper home yet in London masa tu. So I was like, okay, I was still very much clingy to my friends back home, so it was like FaceTime, blah blah. And then I macam, okay, why don't I create a magazine that I can publish my archives that I found online and then sort of brought with me so that everyone can also use it. So that's how Mula started, and then that's how I also started photography lah. And then it was more also venturing into tangible things about, you know, I had access to an archive system in London where they showed like 60s, 70s magazines, and I was like, why don't we have this kind of things in KL that's online that people could also take advantage of, which was great. So yeah, that's how it started.
So I was studying in Berlin, and I just graduated last year. I don't know, so maybe we did the same. Did you graduate last year also?
I graduated baru last month.
Oh, baru?
Yeah, baru
you just
je.
came back.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and I went to I was doing Bachelor of Arts as well. So I was doing politics, economics, and philosophy. So this is like one group thing. But a popular concept or like sentiment theory that was coming there, it was American school, it was in Europe, it was a liberal arts school, was identity lah. You know, a lot of people were like really focusing on this identity part, and a lot of the theories or like the classes or the courses were based around identity and understanding who you really are, to like really separate from previous structures of like, okay, this is a European school, so they had a lot of like white lineage of education and shit, you know. So they tried to break away from that and really focused on the identity. So a lot of the students and my schoolmates, they also felt like the need to get back in touch with who they actually are. So we had like Pakistani students or Turkish or Romanian, and they were trying to be less Western, less white, and then just like look back into what they actually have. And I will get there with Mula because I see it, and I'm guessing this is your first venture or like inspirations into.
It was sort of a projection plan lah, macam, you know, during the first year. Wait, are we getting into Mula already? Because then
We can.
We can? Okay. So again, Mula was a projection plan. I wanted it to just be an archive Instagram page where I, you know, put pictures that I can access, write about. And then I started asking my friends, would it be cool if we had a publication that I can bring forward, you know, internationally? Because that time I was just like, hey, I want to put Malaysia on the map of the industry lah kan. So they were like, yeah, why not? It's, you know, it's cool because I don't know much about the archives that we have as well. So I was like, okay. And fortunately, I had the privilege of coming home frequently. So then while coming home frequently, utilizing my stay in KL, masa tu, I went to the library a lot. And then while going to the library, that's when I looked at selection of magazines that were just there. And I was like, oh, okay. Why don't I learn from that? So when I was flipping through magazines from the 70s, they had all these beautiful Malaysian women that were just so happy. They weren't forced to do what they wanted to do, or, you know, as what I think lah. Tapi I was really inspired from creating that again with the context of now, with our generation, from not, you know, sort of getting hindered from the cancel culture ke, you know, social media. So it was more of championing creativity more than anything. because also I had these resources in London where I was like, wow, you know, everyone here, Londoners are so lucky to have a fashion platform anywhere they go. So they would have access in galleries, they would have access in like online libraries, and we don't have that, or as far as I know lah, during the time. You know, so I was just like, why I want to try to create something that's threading from that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, identity is a very big role in Mula because it mirrors with the team now. Everyone is, you know, sometimes I pun ada identity crisis. Like at one point, I'm just like, I want to be sort of Britney Spears shaving her hair, and then I'm just like, I want to be Oprah, you know, giving back. So it's kind of just really experimenting with what we have, and experimenting with our aim, you know, so those kind of things. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so now we can really tie into the inspiration or really spark Mula Zine to be what it is, and I'm guessing it's really because of these like experiences that you have from your school, learning, being like exposed to like what it means for identity, you know, like realizing that we should connect or like try to gather what we can from our own identity and like exploit that or like explore that in a way where we can apply it to what we want to do now, like fashion, for example, you know. And I'm guessing this is also like the trend or like the means of really separating yourself from the Western ideals or the Western sense of fashion.
Yeah.
So when you look into like this Malaysian identity in Mula, you know, I see a lot in your Instagram like the 70s or like the 80s. These like nostalgia kind of inspirations and image and aesthetic, and it does make me reminisce or like to that time. But is this something that you are capitalizing on as a Mula Zine aesthetic, you know?
Okay, I actually, good question by the way. I actually mentioned this to the team the other day because they were saying, oh, does it have to be everything localized? Because we all grew up with a Western approach.
Yeah.
And then I was like, of course it has to be. If you wanted a Western approach, there's Days Online, which is great. But you know, I wanted it to be more homebound. And you know,
These are your team members?
These are my team members.
They're like, why? No, I mean the ones that's asking the...
Yeah, my team members, because actually we have sometimes contributors asking, what is Mula?
Yeah.
And then I put, macam, Mula is what you want it to be, really. Because I cannot have it in one simple term, like Mula is this. But I can tell you what the vision and aim is, but what Mula is up to you. But anyways, back to my answer. So, for example, again, Western culture. I grew up with Disney Channel. I grew up with Lizzie McGuire, with Bring It On in the 90s, in 2005. But at the same time, you know, Goal and Ginchu was on. And then we had 3R. So a lot of people forget that because it's not, it's not brought up so much forward into, you know, our online
creative culture.
So it's not heavily referenced before. So macam, you know, we had Speedy, if you remember Speedy. Yeah, we still have Speedy. So Speedy had this collection of VCDs from old Malay movies that I actually bought just for Mula. And unfortunately, I don't have a VCD player anymore lah. Tapi for the sake of having it tangibly in my hand, I wanted that to be the same thing as Mula, but online. So it was more towards, you know, macam remembering what we had in terms of freedom, in terms of liberation, in terms of creativity. So it was just a mixture of it all into Mula Zine. So that's why I wanted it to be Mula juga, sebab it's a start. Whenever or whatever, it is a start. Again, also I named Mula because of the song Mulanya di Sini by Freedom. You know, I was singing in the car and I was like, hey, Mulanya di Sini. I was like, oh wow, we start here wherever we are.
So like this is getting me like a bit excited lah, though, just not hearing like why the certain principles that you want to uphold because of, it doesn't really matter with like what you want to for it to look like or for it to mean or whatever, but it's more about the principles of having something in Malaysia. And then when your team members are like, why can't we have something like Western based, or why does it have to be all local? I'm saying that's like exciting for me because for a Safe House, for me, I'm part of Safe House, and also before this I was at Hoax Vision, which is like a music collective. I made it a point to be like, no, like we don't want any like international people. We don't want like international DJs or performers or collaborations like that, because at the end of the day, every single artist that you find outside, you can find inside as well.
Preach.
So I just
Definitely.
like you just the problem here is the access, or like the I don't know, just like finding these people would be a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But there's no problem with that.
Betul. And actually, because you also study in Berlin, so I'm sure you understand the sort of
Need.
attachment,
Yeah.
the need
Yeah.
to feel at home while being in another person's home.
Yeah.
So I sort of revolved, London as my mula.
Yeah.
And everywhere I went, I was just like, hey, let's work with Malaysians that are eating, that are feeling lonely. I'm just like, come have a community with me, because I appreciated my country more when I was abroad.
Yeah.
And it was just like everything was going on in like one go, so a lot of things were happening in Malaysia, but I was just like, nope, that is the love of my life. I wanted to bring it forward in the publishing industry, but then it sort of made me realize that like a lot of people feel the same. So again, with Mula, unfortunately lah, like a lot of people feel the same with what we post. So we had Saiful Apet live the other day, and a lot of people were like, wow, I actually remembered him from my childhood.
Yeah.
And I was like, of course you did. It's just that we haven't seen much more of him.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm trying to bring forward lah.
So just like to get like a bit further away from like what Mula is and how it is right now, I just want to talk about how you're involved. So you just said this is your full-time job.
It is. I'm actually the founder, so as a founder, I oversee a lot of business and creative side of Mula. And then apart from that, I'm also editor-in-chief, so with articles and all, I edit, I work a lot with the writers, work a lot with the managing editor. So like I said, like it's really just like any other publication. We work with what we have, so we work with our titles. And then because I also graduated, so it is a full-time job for now. Also COVID, nobody wants to hire me.
So as it is similar to any other publication, does it also make money as any other publication?
As much as I want to say that we make money, we haven't. But money is the end game lah. But the process is what we're in for.
Yeah.
And we're all running towards the same goal. So yeah, money is the end game. The end game belum ada yet. So
recently, I mean, last week I just started a podcast. This is like video form that we do have on our YouTube. Is more for like guests.
Yeah.
And then I just started a podcast with me and Ijas. I don't know if you know Ijas Arifin. He's a writer. And then our first episode of the podcast, we were talking about where did all the Malaysian music publications go. And then we ended up talking about, okay, at the end of the day, there's no market, and then when there's no market, you can't really sell it anymore.
Betul.
So just to like have your thoughts on that, like what do you think about Mula Zine in this publication world? Like how in like for the longevity and knowing that is the end goal, how are you able to like sustain
I think
the business?
I think macam business wise, to be frank, it's not sort of my cup of tea, because I speak in visual form. So we have an accountant, we have a legal advisor, and we also have a business person in the group. I'm always like, speak to me in mood boards. Because I can do it in mood boards. But also you learn along the way. You learn that we have a 6 months plan, and then we have numbers coming in and out, and sometimes it's negative and positive. So macam I cannot say or foresee the future of what publication will be like in Malaysia, because 2020 was just a whirlwind for us even. But I would love to hope that people still want to collect magazines, something tangible, something that they can just put on their bedside. And sorry, does that answer your question?
I mean, just wondering, like, for the sustainability of Mula Zine as a publication, as a business, as a company, like, if for now, like, there's no focus in the business aspects of money rolling in, I was wondering, like, how do you have any plans for it to eventually?
We do, of course, that it's
through like advertisements
through adverts, through working together with creatives, workshops, editorials. Again, adverts is where we're heavily relying on. And then again, subscriptions on mulazine.com, and then hopefully, if it all comes down, then a printed zine lah.
Okay, so that's interesting to know. At least like there's that really like anticipation of
course,
building a business model out of it.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the day, also having print. Okay, so I will get back to the print part because I also would like to know like your views on. I mean, physical. It seems to me that you like the physical aspect of things. I mean, let's just get into it. You like the physical.
I do.
You bought the CDs.
I do.
So one way or another, you would like to see Mula printed.
I would love to. I was just talking to our art director Kali that I want to collaborate with a lot of artists in terms of the cover of the zine, just so it's different. Instead of just like every cover is a different picture, every cover is a different material. So we can be very creative with what we want to do, even though, again, as a saying, we only plan, but the process is very important. So I would love to put it all in the zine. And then also, I guess, with the magazine, like, sorry, can you just repeat your question? Yeah, take your time. Sorry, it's just like, poof, brain fart.
It's okay.
Can you just repeat your question again?
You want to see it at the end of the day.
Sorry.
Printed, right?
Yeah, definitely. I want it lah because it's just nice having people hold something.
Yeah.
That's like Mula Zine.
Yeah.
And then when you see it from afar, you're like, wow, because I used to buy magazines and I used to just clutch it with me and go everywhere with it. Even to popular bookstore, I'm just like, okay, I have this magazine. I'm gonna get another magazine. It's just nice to have something tangible,
Yeah.
And it makes content much more I would say much more like the anticipation is stronger. What you have online is nice, but then when you see it printed, you're like, wow, it's actually 3D in front of me. And I want Mula to sort of mirror that as well. So much when we have interviews, when we have editorials, when we have think pieces, it's just there.
Hi guys, sorry about that. Using a GoPro, it's not really charging very well. It's about to die soon, but like I think it's fine for now. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about this.
No worries.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Okay, so maybe we can start at a new topic.
Okay.
and I mean, okay, just to like wrap things up with Mula Zine, just want to know, since like you said earlier also that there was like a hierarchy and whatnot in Mula Zine, so it's basically like a company. How is the internal structures like I was going through the Instagram and going through the first few posts, and like I think like 20 or 30 of the first posts were just like you introducing your team and the many people that are like behind it. And I'm not sure if it's the same people now and you restructured. But do you want to go through like really how what it's made up of?
I think again Mula changes. I wouldn't say we change a lot, but again, like any other publication, there are always people coming in and out lah, and we're always looking to work with people that are passionate, that are they want to communicate something they can't in other publications. So for now, I don't know which post you saw. I think it was the first few posts. Good.
Yeah, the first
so
20. I think. Yeah. I was just like, okay, this is another person working hard.
We definitely changed people. The people that worked with us before, our team. I think we went separate ways. So for now, we have a new set of people, and again, with new set of people comes new set of perspective, new set of definition. So yeah, I think. And I don't mind that really, because I feel like at the end of the day, it's the same vision, it's the same aim. It's just that different people working towards that same togetherness,
Yeah.
So yeah, I think, it changes like seasons.
So basically, how many people are there in it, like in the team? Like
for now, we have 26.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. We've got one from Jakarta, 2 from Singapore, and then we've got 3 working remotely from London. But we've got all Malaysians, and then 2 Singaporeans, one Indonesian lah.
Would you say most of them are? I mean, they're working together, and Mula Zine is mostly like directed towards Malaysia, right?
Yeah, I think again because we're expanding it to Indonesia, to Singapore, so now we're slowly well, I wouldn't say experimenting, but we're slowly opening it to Southeast Asia. Again, because even Malaysians, refer to a lot of Southeast Asian movies, a lot of Southeast Asian fashion. So we're even Southeast Asian. So I feel like it's fine. But for now, it's very Malaysian centric lah.
And the people, even from the people in London,
Yeah,
are they
yeah,
Malaysian though?
They're Malaysian. They're
Oh,
Malaysian.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. So that makes
So-
sense. They're studying there.
So again, because I know how it feels to be in their shoes, just feeling a bit alone in
Yeah.
UK. So I'm just like, come on board,
Being part of it.
being part of it.
Yeah.
So but like people in our team in Indonesia, our team in Singapore, they teach us a lot. Even with Malaysian stuff, they research things that we don't even know.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. That's why I wouldn't mind expanding it to more of our brothers and sisters in Southeast Asia. So, our writer in Jakarta, she wrote about folkloric practices, which is quite similar to ours, really. And then Singapore does visuals. So it's nice lah. It's nice to see that combination, flowing and having this, I would say, much mutual understanding, mutual perception of everyone here too.
Yeah.
So it's really teaching and educating and just bouncing off ideas lah. from each
So,
other.
I mean, not knowing that you have 26 people, I'm guessing a lot of them, do spend a lot of their time researching, like you said. So, like this content or like this like journalistic efforts, like Kiranya, like they really delve into the things that they
Yeah.
want to talk about and the different. I mean, out of the 26 people, they're all just like throwing ideas and whatnot, or how is it?
For now, we work in a structure. So we've got a writing department. We've got an art department. We've got, I think that's all so far. We've got writing and art. So art usually works on editorial basis. So which we are working towards, a more 3 months projection plan, and then writers do it every week. So for now, our website is on revamp, so it's all very much Instagram. So the sense of urgency is there lah.
Yeah.
So macam it has to be quite like cepat,
And do you think that's why you have that many people? That because of the
Yeah,
demand
yeah.
for the content?
Yeah, also, manpower is one thing, but also voice,
Yeah.
also direction, also perception. So it's really nice because I learned a lot from the team. Things I never knew about what Mula means to them pun. So it's nice to see this sort of blend. It's like an acai bowl. They're like the
Yeah, yeah.
granolas on top. So yeah, cherry to the ice cream.
Okay. I think we can really cap that off for about like Mula Zine, and then maybe get to know more about your thoughts on certain other
Sure.
things. But just before we end, I just wanted to see like maybe. Are there any plans in Mula Zine to really collaborate with people in KL or in Malaysia
Definitely.
in general, like to do anything? Because
Yeah.
Safe House, honestly, we've been thinking about it. We've been throwing the idea around Mula,
Yeah.
but like we can't. I mean, we don't know what yet.
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
It really like the.
Faham.
So do you have any ideas or like?
With you guys?
No, I mean like in general or
Yeah.
like goals to collaborate.
Definitely. I think collaboration is a very much macam, a mutual effort. So it has to be something that it can both benefit us. So I think in terms of like artists, in terms of creatives, we would love to collaborate with everyone. We had this idea to collaborate with who was that? She worked in Speedy. And we wanted to collaborate with her. So she was like, what do you want me to do? I'm just like, I want your voice. Let's collaborate with something. Like how do you work? How does it feel to work in a VCD shop when no one comes? She's like, oh my god, that's really cool. But then unfortunately, the next time I came, she quit her job.
Oh.
So I lost contact. And so it's things like that. So it's the unconventional part of creativity.
Yeah.
Because I think like, of course, working with the normal convention of collaboration like artists, fashion brands is nice. But also I want to give light to other creatives that are sort of not seen.
Yeah.
Macam maybe, even my pakcik driver, I would
Yeah.
love to collaborate with him. Like how can we, as different age gaps, different generation, work towards something. And it's been great because he's been, you know, in our editorials, he's been working with us as well, giving me ideas like, oh, you know, in the 80s, because of course he went through the 80s more than us.
Yeah.
So he said, okay, this is how we collaborate, and then blah, blah, blah. So the input is amazing.
Yeah.
So it's that kind of collaboration that I'm sort of aiming for.
Like content then?
So like content, like writing, you know, I don't know, like in the future I might want to do merch, so those kind of things.
Like would Mula also be interested in doing something like, I don't know, like events or shows and whatnot, that like, you know, like I'm just thinking Juice, back then they had their anniversary, every single anniversary. Do you know Juice Online?
Yeah.
So every single anniversary they make like a crazy party, you know, like it's just something that you anticipate. Does Mula also want to host these kind of like shows, or I don't know, fashion shows or anything like that?
Definitely. I am 100% in that. I love the idea and I love the process, so definitely. I think we're very much open to the idea of it as well, so anyone who wants to collaborate can just drop an email out there.
So delving into something else than Mula Zine, you know, just want to get your thoughts and moving on.
Yeah.
I also see that you have a very big affinity, I don't know, as the editor-in-chief, and so I guess it resembles in Mula, but I'm guessing it comes from you, this Malaysian identity, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
But then you're like taking cues from what really makes us Malaysian, you know, and then like amplifying that certain, I don't know, aspect or factor that you're like, you know,
giving
really
leverage.
Yeah. So like for example batik, I see that you use it a lot, or there's like very kampung punya aesthetics.
I think macam we had a phase where we wanted to use a lot of batik, but then now it wasn't really aligned with our branding as Mula Zine. It's about Mula Zine, you know, takes away from the liberation, from the spirit, from the fashion of the 80s, 90s. You know, we were very much into like colors, sleeves, big sleeves, and I think macam, again, you know, I get inspiration from the photo albums in my house. So my parents, my grandparents, you know, they're hoarders for photos, so they have all these photo albums that are untouched, and I take inspiration from that. So I think macam batik was nice, it still is, but I think we want to steer away from just doing batik and Malay. So we want to do something more universal, more, you know, that can involve all the races in Malaysia. So that's about it.
Do you think that is a good method though, to like really get in tune or get in touch with like your Malaysian identity by, you know, like going back in the past and then really picking out what's important and then amplifying that?
It's a good reference because, you know, when we study at vets and then when we study films, everyone was much involved, and it wasn't so macam satu race. And I never liked that idea of satu race. So, you know, Malaysia is known for the diversity it brings. So then, even though maybe we didn't have much reference in the 80s, that brings, you know, a lot of diversity, we recreate that. That's the point of us, you know, being a publication, a zine, a collective. We recreate what has not been created, what's not sort of conventional.
Okay.
You know, so macam we, again, the topic of cultural appropriation and appreciation, we're still studying that, because again, there's a very fine line between both. So yeah, I think it's a never-ending learning, never-ending process. So I think
what about like looking into the future though, maybe like developing what like these like certain like Malaysian elements from now? Do you think that that's important for us to like really focus on as well? Since like I don't know, like batik is something old, you know, like it's been like old culture tradition.
Definitely.
You know, like these kampung, there's less and less of kampung, or these prevalence of like old elements. At some point, do you think that we need to like really step up and start developing our own Malaysian identity, or do you think that's already happening right now?
I would say it's happening too much, which is good, but also we need to give credit where credit is due. So macam that's why I try to create something based on inspiration more than straight up macam inspiration from maybe our Malaysians in the kampung, or Malaysians not having this much privilege as us, because I think it's unfair for us
like
to
this rempit, this like recent rempit of
it's a nice idea lah to work around it. Macam Mula is quite satirical. It's quite, I like this tacky idea-ness of bringing it forward. There's always a market for that, but also we need to give credit where credit is due, and by credit means whatever they need that could support them. And we, again, as a collective, we're trying to bring that forward as well as an aim.
So I mean, you really focus on the community that brings these elements instead of just the elements itself.
Correct. We need to be mindful of what we bring forward to the publication. And as much as we love the fashion, we love our culture, we love the lifestyle, but again, credit. We need to give credit, like so macam this is also what I tell the team, is to always be mindful where you get your inspirations from, where you get your resources from. Also, again, we had that Buka Mata exhibition kan last year, so it was surrounding the idea of female I wouldn't say hantu, but female empowerment, much more of the idea of what is the Pontianak, what is this hantu, that hantu, because when people hear the word hantu, they immediately close their eyes. They immediately think, oh, it's a bad energy, it's a bad omen. Okay, maybe in certain aspects, yes, but also how do we change that perspective and educate them? So macam for the Buka Mata exhibition, my idea was so people could sort of open their eyes and not be afraid of things surrounding us, because everywhere we go there will always be things. So that's the idea.
Are you talking about like
spirit
things?
So this is what I wrote. I wrote for also for my thesis lah. So it's really an interesting topic, but also the same concept as you need to minta izin kind of thing. Make peace with it. Making sense.
I get it. It's like reflecting on like these old connotations that we've had in tradition or in our culture and whatnot, and maybe like reflecting on what it actually means. So maybe people dulu just scared of perempuan yang whatever, and then they make up these stories to kind of justify their actions against them. Like the typical witch hunting, whatnot.
Definitely. So, macam everyone has their perspective about the topic itself. Tapi I think we as a publication, we have the advantage of changing it into a positive thing. As much as I would like to extend it to something positive. So it was just nice though to see like people coming and just looking at pictures, looking at performing arts in just one room, in a dark room. So they interacted with sound, they interacted with smell. So it was just like a very 10-minute experience. It was nice. So we want to create more of that, more of experience while learning, while experimenting, kind of thing.
And these experiences, do they also reflect on like these different mediums that you, I feel like fashion is just really focus on a specific few mediums, mostly like photography, maybe a videography, not too much, but mostly photography and I mean the fashion, obviously the clothes. But are there any other creative mediums that you think it should be part of this experience?
I think macam, I'm afraid to say, but I think towards my understanding and what I see abroad also, they try to include different parts of the industry into one. Macam in an exhibition, if that answers your question.
No, I mean just like in general, like how can we like achieve what you wanted to achieve earlier, like the experience, or like with helping people reflect on certain things, or this a grander aim, through different mediums other than just like photography and things that maybe that you can see on Instagram.
I want to try to do something with Braille. So we give an experience to even those who can't see, those who can't hear. Again, accessibility. So I think
that's interesting.
I want to do that. I think it's part of my process as well. It's part of my reading. Even photography, I learned in class. It's just how do we sort of give back to people who cannot see, people who are colorblind. How do we turn that into another experiment.
Yeah.
You know, I saw this sunglasses yang turn their lens into a different color for colorblind people. If you've seen that video, yeah. So that kind of thing is very similar.
Okay. Yeah.
So
it's cool. I mean, I've never really thought about this,
Yeah.
but like you're providing like this creative medium or expression to people who, I mean, it's a different way, you know, like
Yeah.
so Braille, like art in Braille for blind people is completely different. Maybe
Yeah.
they just use it not to read, but
yeah,
like
it's like you can collaborate with a graphic designer for that.
Yeah.
And again, this is where collaboration comes in.
Yeah.
You know, you can collaborate with people who specialize in this, psychiatrists, psychologists.
That's interesting.
You know, to give back to us, our
Yeah.
generation, who maybe want to know but are afraid to find sort of, you know, like information regarding this. So we make it accessible. But still, that's a very long process, very long.
Yeah.
It's a very long way to go lah. But hopefully in the coming future.
Yeah. How accessible do you want this like Mula Zine to be?
To
You know,
be.
like you really want everybody in Malaysia to really pay attention to it, or certain like I don't know. It depends, right? At some point, you'd have to like really consider how accessible are you willing to go.
Yeah, I think definitely we aim to make it accessible for all. We aim, and that's our long-term vision lah, to make it quite accessible for all. We aim to make it, you know, again, collaborate with different approaches of art, different industries to see where we can maybe make a change into, again, fashion, culture, art,
Yeah.
you know, come in between to these
Yeah.
things.
But
So-
for me, like coming, just like thinking about fashion is more of like, you know, if you can afford it, then you can enjoy it. You know, that kind of
Yeah.
situation.
So even again, you know, my grandmother, she has dementia. So then the other day we had our editorial, Mula editorial, which is coming out next month. By the way, here free advert.
That's okay.
So, you know, it's coming out next month, but I've decided to do it at her house. By the way, SOP was very much taken heavily. Like we practice it all, just in case everyone's wondering. Yeah, so I decided to make it at her house, and the theme was actually 80s open house. In terms of patriotism. So how in the 80s did people communicate in terms of food, in terms of conversations, body language? So it was all projected into one film. So that was heavy on fashion, heavy on subtle characters. And she started to remember little by little that, wow, actually in the 80s I did do that. You know, so
That's cool.
Yeah, so even not just to educate my generation or, you know, my aunts, but also to educate my grandmas. Because everyone went through the 80s more than me, or the 90s, for example, and they know better. And I think from what we're trying to portray from Mula Zine is to maybe bring forward what we think best, what we know from TV, what we know from radio, what we know from magazine. So those sort of things. It's to introduce this idea of fashion that's quite colorful.
Yeah.
Again, seeing colors for the first time, so it's not muted.
Yeah.
So I think it again revolves around bringing forward what is sort of hidden under the rug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
with what I'm getting from what you're saying right now, I think there's like a big prevalence you're putting on media, or like how it's like resembling the culture or like a time period that people were in, and based on the media that was around. And now I'm getting it. At first, when I asked the question, I thought like, you know, fashion is more of a like a upper social class thing where they can afford to like think about like fancy clothes and whatnot. But now I'm starting to get where you're coming from, where like fashion is actually the culture. Like everybody wears certain clothes based on a certain time, no matter the social
no matter
class.
the period, and no matter the period, no matter the social class. And you'd be surprised to know that high class fashion actually takes much more inspiration from people who are not, you know, same level as them.
Yeah.
And
Understood.
you know,
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, so
So,
I understand like
again-
how this like fashion, like what I wanted to follow up was that, do you think fashion is a universal thing? And then I'm guessing that you do think so, that like everybody experiences this.
yeah, it's just fashion is clothes. You know,
Yeah.
what we're wearing now is fashion.
Yeah.
Like what you're wearing now could be really cool in Berlin. What I'm wearing now could be really cool in, I don't know, anywhere else.
Yeah.
So those kind of things that I sort of want to portray.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like, and we're you know, luxury fashion is inspired by subcultures. So it goes around the orbit though.
Yeah.
Those kind of things.
So I mean, just to tie everything up, like you were talking about just now, just like really giving credit to where it's due and really understanding where your sources are coming from, raising up the voices of the communities you take these from, so no matter like if it's from the 80s and then you're really paying attention, giving that attention to your grandmother, or taking anything and then you're really giving attention to that certain element that you're taking it from. I think this also ties in with like a lot of this introspective, reflective nature of Mula, and a lot of publications nowadays really just paying attention to giving credit and mostly just like not ripping off. That it's like ripping off culture, and what I wanted to actually get with this is this like positive attitude that I get from Mula. You're not a very provocative group of people. You're not a very like like fuck you kind of vibe. It's more like a hey, kita orang gang, we're like together. I really get that sense, and is this part of your whole ethos?
I think macam again also need to extract from what you said, the given credit where it's due. We, the first, I'm just gonna be really honest and frank here, even masa the first time we introduced Mula, we just took pictures and didn't give credit where it's due until I think we got called out, and that was really a wake-up call because as Zine, we have a number of following, and we need to give credit where it's due. It's the responsibility. It's the responsibility, man. It's what you do. Like, yeah, that's what we do, and it also breaks my heart if like someone takes my picture from my photography account and doesn't credit me or the team. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, so it's really a learning process again, giving credit where it's due. So it's the same thing, tau. Macam, for the editorial we worked with this, forgot, but she cooks really nice food, and she doesn't have a big Instagram following, but her food was really, it was so beautiful. And that's what I want to bring forward to Mula. People who numbers don't matter to me or Mula really. It's just what you can provide to the table, what you can bring forward. That's what we want. And this is us giving you leverage. This is us amplifying your talent, your voice. Yeah. Again, I'm running off tangent. No, it's okay. Like just to tie it back in, like the you're not divisive is what I'm saying. Like. Okay, I'll give you experience in the music world. There's collectives, there's groups of I don't know, there's record labels, there's collectives, there's different event venues, and very much since I started like early on, I was young when I started doing the music in the music world. Yeah. A lot of like these institutions like this venue or like this collective, and mostly older, they like to not work with each other. And I don't think that that's really the culture now, because it's like we are trying our best to like really collaborate in any way, because it's not a zero-sum game. You're not like fighting for the same pot. Like you get your shot, we get your shot. It's a saying of we only have each other. Yeah. And again, like any other collective or publication, always bring your team with you. Yeah. Because you're not working for one person. You are working and responsible for all. So again, like you said, positivity, I think, because I want to get the team to... But is it true though, that do you tell them about this? Like, do you even use that word? I do, like, let's be positive. Yeah. Wait, hold on, let me look at my team. Yeah, they're like, They look positive. They look positive. They just need coffee, but yeah, they look positive. No, it's just sometimes we do have meetings where we just talk. Yeah. Because outside of Mula Zine, we're also friends. And again, it's very important, again, to draw the line between working and also hanging out. So when we hang out, I try to not talk about Mula or try not to talk about work. So it's just like, okay, talk about your problems, talk about my problems. But then at the end of the day, that's like, oh my God, we could do that as an editorial for Mula. Yeah. So, ideas stem from the conversations we have on a daily. And I think that's very healthy. Yeah. And I think it's very normal to have fights between, your workmates, and it's so normal to have different perspective or opinions, because we're different people. Yeah. But I always tell them to talk it out. Try to call yourself out when you need to, and try to call myself out when you think I'm doing something wrong, because that's where we go forward. That's how we go forward. Because honestly, sorry, I'm in a relationship with all of them, because each and every person is like, okay, you're my boyfriend, but how can we make this work as an individual and together as friends? So again, I never had that working with previous employers, because again, like you said lah, previous generations interns had to sit somewhere else. The hits had to sit somewhere else. So I ended up not knowing who I'm working for or who I'm working with. So the core values were sort of lari, and I don't want that to happen in Mula. And of course, sometimes again, we can't also shut people's mouth about what they want to say. And I can't control what people think of Mula sometimes, but it's okay. We try to keep it forward. We try to have a light, try to shed a light. So I think above all, the priority is to work and know each other. That's how I can bring them forward. So I think is that the same in Safe House?
I mean, it's complete. Safe House is I don't know what we are.
That's okay.
It's less like that, lah. It's less like that for me, because I'm more of I'm not really an intimate person, so I don't take the time to really get to know people.
I get it.
Because it.
Are you a first child?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because first childs do that though. Like, I force people to cry. Like within my team, I'm just like, cry now or don't come in.
Yeah, I mean, Like yesterday, they had an intervention for me, and they're like, Farhan, you gotta be nicer to us. Like, it's not to them, like, you gotta be nicer to us. And I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, it's just sometimes you have not you, but like people have RBF kan, resting bitch face.
Yeah.
Pardon my French.
Oh my god.
But yeah. It's just like sometimes I'm just looking at the tree, man. Like, I'm not mad at you or something. Yeah.
Dude, like, I'm not sure how many views. I mean, most of Mula's people, I'm sure, are like positive, so they won't say shit. But like previous podcast, all these people were just like, why is your face like that?
Yeah,
why are you so pissed
really,
off?
I understand. It's just even with one of our team who's sitting in front of me, my managing editor, he has this like RBF where he's just like, I was like, are you mad at me?
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm just really looking. So it's just really, again, learning body language. We know, bring your team everywhere, and whatever they have with them, bring it in the suitcase. That's how you make it work. And communication is very vital. It's about, if one doesn't reply, one falls down, and if one falls down, everyone has to fall down. So if everyone has to fall down, we're only depending on the person who didn't reply to get us out.
It's nice. It's nice to see that. I think the you guys, it's been 2 years, and I think the 26 people is quite a lot of kids to juggle.
Oh, a lot. I'm like mother hen here.
But knowing that it seems like you have a like good group of supporters around you, like really understanding the vision and wanting to be a part of it, I do see that like Mula won't really like leave anytime soon. Like,
I hope not lah. I hope we all will still be the same in 6 years. We still have the same aim. We still want to do the same thing. World is changing, but again, maybe there will be a Mula Zine 2.0 in 2030 that'll take what we've done. Who knows? But for now, our aim is to give back, to educate.
To really start, plugging Mula. I don't know if any of you who are still watching that don't know Mula, but you guys are revamping your website?
Yes, we are. It's coming off. Mula.
What's the difference now?
What? The difference is you have to see, guys, because I can't. It's PNC.
Okay.
I'm sorry. No, but really, it's nothing much. I don't want to make it underwhelming, but it's more cleaner. More things we are introducing. More think pieces, more opinionated articles that people can read, that people can enjoy reading through their phones. Because instead of just scrolling through Twitter, maybe you need some positivity. Maybe you need some, okay, let's see what this person from Mula is thinking about. Maybe, I don't know, kuih lapis. Why is it layers? Like, those kind of things. It can be the most random type of articles, but it will be something new. That one I can guarantee, because it is. Will it
expand the content in, towards other avenue? I'm talking about music, because if personally I'm interested, and would you guys do more of that?
Music, definitely. We want to. We're definitely, yes. I want to learn more from our local music makers, because for now we've done like only certain
or like
certain
food. I mean,
yeah.
like
You'll be excited to
reviews,
see our
you know?
food section. Okay, it's
Yeah.
nice,
Oh, okay.
nice.
Okay.
So I macam wow. I never knew because I want to reintroduce again recipes.
Yeah.
You know?
In the magazine.
Yeah, in the magazine. So
That's nice.
You know, during MCO, apart from Dalgona coffee, I learned how to make other things from, I hate to say this, but TikTok. And, you know, Twitter people, which is great. And I want to do that. Like, okay, Instagram followers that I have that cooks, I'm just like, wow, how did you do ikan tiga rasa? I can never. So please bring forward your recipe, you know? So those kind of things. It's a community within a community.
Yeah.
I hope I'm making sense.
Sorry, I don't know if they're picking up the noise, but
It's cool.
Safe House at the end of the day is an event music venue. But it's already 1 hour now, and thank you
Thank
for
you so
the
much.
podcast. I think I got to know quite a lot, and like honestly, there are so many things that you were saying that's coming with Mula. Like you've got like plenty of plans, and hopefully at some time in the future you are able to do print, because some point we want to become a publication store, you know.
Yeah, a convenience store.
Yeah, Alicia, I don't know, Alicia,
Yeah.
you know Alicia, she wants
Yeah.
to make a graphic design center, or like design center store. So yeah, we hope to have like one of your publications sometime here in the
we'll
future.
be there hopefully when we come up with our zine. I'll be just like, Farhan,
Yeah.
the zine for you. You know, hopefully,
Yeah.
we plan to cater. So
I think
it's
with
just,
26 people, you can definitely.
hopefully, you know,
Yeah.
with my Xanax, definitely.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much for showing up. This will be up on YouTube in 2 days. I have to edit this. What? Yeah.
2 days, okay.
2
Malaysian
days.
timing, 2 days?
In 2 days.
2 days.
it'll be there. I'm
Okay.
quick. I'm quick. Thank you very much.
Bye, guys.
Bye.